Hey everybody, and welcome to Tribal Trading. I have got an exciting series of videos for you. This is my crypto cheat sheet. This is part one. I'm going to split them up into segments of 3 coins per cheat sheet. So you're going to get 3 coins today, 3 coins in the next one, and so on. I'm going to try and categorize them a little bit as well. Now, these are the coins that I'm personally buying. I'm not a financial advisor. I'm not going to give you financial advice. This is just for education and entertainment purposes only. If you choose to buy some of those of your own accord, that's totally your choice and your decision. I'm definitely not saying to buy these. These are just the ones that I'm sharing that I'm buying and that I have bought. Some of these I'm going to give buy prices for that I have gotten way earlier. But I certainly am also accumulating more in these ranges and these entries as well. And for some of them, I'm getting them a little bit, adding to the bags a little bit later as well. They're newer as we get through. These first 3 I've held for a good period of time. But I want to share these things with you. I hope that you'll get some good value out of this and can enjoy watching this, have fun watching this, and learn something from this. And so I'm going to jump straight into the number one on my crypto cheat sheet. And look, here's the deal. I kind of find it's quite interesting. I see on crypto Twitter and YouTube people kind of putting out these lists of these my buys, and essentially they're pumping their own bags a lot of the time, and they have big audiences they pump to. And I'm just going to have full disclosure that I own all of these. This is my crypto cheat sheet. I'm not telling you to buy any of these. I'm just sharing some of my knowledge and some of my research that I've done, and these are the ones that I feel are valuable. I'm not going to deep dive into every project. I am going to do some separate videos just focusing on a specific one or two that I like or more that I like, and do a bit of a deep dive on it. And I'll probably update those from time to time. And just keep in mind also that some of these I will buy and hold and sell on the way up. And I've got some take profit zones in there that I'm happy to share as far as what I feel might be the top. But obviously, I always take a if this, then that approach. You know, things can change, things can happen. And I'm always looking to revise my profit target. So I'll probably update this at some point during the cycle as well. So if I adjusted where I feel the top may be, but I don't really have TP1, TP2, TP3 because I don't know what price everybody's going to buy at in here or how much they're going to put into it. I feel like as far as taking profits goes, I generally will take profit around 3x, 5x, 10x, 15x, 20x, 30x, and so on if we're able to get that high, if we're lucky enough to get that high. So I kind of do those at that level. But there are some also that I will just hold and just sell all the way up. And then there are others that I will constantly accumulate. So I kind of find what my winners are when I feel coins that are winning and will give me big gains and have good, decent ranges that I can trade in. And I'll always look to sell the local tops of those coins, such as Solana, which is actually, if you're wondering what my first coin is, it has to be Solana because this is the one that I have made 7,000% gain in the last cycle, and already, I was able to take profit over $200, entering in at around $20, $15 on this. I think my average buying was about $20. I was buying between around $12 to $22. So the bottom line with all of this is that with Solana, and when we look at this is a coin that I sold a bunch at 200, and then I've reaccumulated back at 120 and 140, $140. I've bought back some of that I sold at 200, and I had buy orders at 101, and I had buy orders at $80 as well. I kind of wish now I bought a little bit more back at 121, but we might be fortunate; it might drop down. So we have a look at Solana. There's some entries. If you don't hold any Solana at all, you might not want to have that as an aggressive entry as the 155 to 165 or the 170. But if this coin does go to $600 to $800 as expected, you could be looking at about a 4x minimum, maybe a little bit more. That's what I feel is a realistic top. I know I've seen some other big targets around there, and I would rather give you a conservative target. If it gets a bit higher, if it goes a bit further, so be it. But let's at least look at getting to that target there. an aggressive entry on this one would be $170. I feel if you don't have any Solana at all, and this is what I usually do, is if I don't have any of a coin at all, I'll take a small part of that budget that I'm looking. Let's just say I have $1,000 to put towards Solana. So I might say, look, I'm going to have an aggressive entry, and I'm going to put, I'm going to buy spend a third of my Solana there at 170 in case it just takes off and just doesn't come back. You just don't know what's going to happen. Maybe somebody files for a Solana ETF and everybody goes, BlackRock, files for it, and their ETFs always go through and the price just goes berserk. So we just don't know. There could be a black swan event. There could be a white swan event like the ETF. And so an aggressive entry for me is around the 170. And you could likely buy at 170. I'm not going to buy at 170. But if I didn't have any Solana, I would probably buy a little bit at 170. Then I would probably buy a little bit more around the 160s, and a little bit more around the 140s, and a little bit more around the 120s. And I would spread my bids around there. And then look, if it dropped down to 101, $100 or $80, I'd probably throw some extra money in there outside of my budget. I try and split my dollar cost average buys up anywhere between and it just really depends how much money you have and how the coin is rangy. There's never a set rule that I kind of go by, but I kind of look to split those buys up and dollar cost average and what I call build a position. And so when I was buying when Solana was low, I was buying at 15 and at 20 and at 22 and whatever. And I haven't really, and I just took profit all the way up to 200 and something dollars. And then I've just, as it's come back, I've looked to accumulate as there's been a pullback. There wasn't really much of a pullback as we took off all the way up to the top. So there are some entries that I'm looking at. Personally, for me, I'm not going to go for an aggressive entry. I don't need to. Personally, for me, I don't think I have a buy-in at 155, 165. I would entertain a buy at 160 if Solana was go to up to like 250 and then pull all the way back to 160. See, these are the other things, and this is why I want to keep this list updated. And I'm probably going to every so often when we have a local top and a significant pullback, I will put new entries and revise what I feel a potential top and aggressive entry. But based on where the market is right now and based on where the market is today, this is what I feel would be a pretty decent entry for me personally. And I certainly have already had my orders hit for 140 and 120. I didn't get the 101 order hit. I'm certainly going to buy more if we get down to 140, 120. I'll put new orders in there. Based on what I feel the market is doing, I feel like, I can probably accumulate again at those levels and even lower if it gets down to there. And obviously 160 to 170 is a more of an aggressive entry, which I'm probably not going to take at this time. Then my potential top, $600 to $800. I feel that's, for me, I feel like that is where I will be looking to have removed at least 80% and sold off 80% of my Solana, and then I'll have like a 20% moon bag that I'll just let run just in case it just takes off and goes to the moon. I won't completely exit my positions. And so that's what I'll say. I'll take profit at like 3x and 5x and 10x, 15x, and if it keeps going, and at some point, as I keep taking profit all the way up, I'm going to get to a point where I've kind of sold 75 to 80% of my bag, and there's going to be about 15 to 20% left. And at that point, I'm just going to try and let that run. And if it dumps and I hold it through the bear market, that's no problem. That's just my strategy. Because if you're all out of the market and the market just keeps going, then you're like having to try and get back in. So I always like to have what I call a moon bag. Okay, number 2 on the list is, drum roll, is Ethereum. Okay, Ethereum is second on the list. And obviously an entry 2 days ago at 3,300 would have been absolutely fantastic. But not a lot of people were thinking that ETF application was going to be approved, including me. I did not think it was going to go ahead. I don't think anybody did. It took a lot of people by surprise, and that's okay. These things happen. I have some Ethereum spot. I have Ethereum leverage positions as well. So I feel I'm well covered for this. However, if we did see a drop, I have, buy entries is 3,450, 33, 3,100. I think other entries, if it goes a little bit lower, 2,800, 2,900. If we go below that, that's going to get a little bit scary. But I feel that would be you buy when there's fear, you buy when there's blood, you buy when big red candles, and you sell when there's green candles. An aggressive entry in this, maybe if I didn't have any Ethereum. Again, I always have that aggressive entry, but I do. 36.85 or around that region would be in a very aggressive entry, and you would not use all of your budget. I talk to people and they're wanting to throw all their budget in at one level, and that makes sense to me. If you've got a lot of money, it's a small percentage of your overall crypto spend that you want to spend, and it can make sense if it's really like the market is really tanked and a lot of the bottom indicators are really flashing hard. And I'll do another video on that, on what I find as my top and my bottom indicators and how they've been very accurate throughout the cycles, throughout the last 4 years, and I believe they're going to continue in this cycle. And then I think for me, it's just better to split up your buys. And sometimes your buys don't get hit, and that just is what it is. But, if you put an entry in at 3685, then it drops, and you have another one at 3450, and another one at 3300, and then another one at 3100, and then another 2800. You can split up your Ethereum buys into 5 different buys, and that's called dollar cost averaging, and that's called building a position. And sometimes just one of your buys will get hit, and that's it. And sometimes, more will get hit. I think potential top for Ethereum, for me, I've heard kind of thrown around maybe 6,000 for this cycle. I think that would be pretty disappointing, because the last cycle top was about 46 or 4,800, I forget. I would like to think a potential top between 8,800 to around 10 to 11,000 would be my best guess on this cycle. And I think if it really overperforms, I think 15 to 17,000 if Ethereum really overperforms, which is just really a 5x from here. And I think if the ETF comes out and there's a lot of, remember that Ethereum is not inflationary, it's deflationary. And so that means, and there's a lot of Ethereum staked as well. And so I think that if the ETF, if there was a lot of strong buys in the ETF, we could see this go pretty good. So I have some good hope for that. We'll see. Again, this is just some entry levels here, and these entry levels are based off Fibonacci's, which I'm not going to go into right now. That I can leave that for another video. Moving averages and some other indicators that I use to find some entries for me and find what I feel might be a long-term bull market top, etc. Okay, and the last one in this, again, I'm kind of just going for the first 3 are all going to be old tokens, and they're all layer 1 blockchains, and they're all blue chips. They're all in the top 15. I think AVAX might be 12th on the list. Ethereum, of course, second, and Solana, I believe, is 5th on the list. Hopefully it does flip BNB, the Binance coin. Okay, so it's Avalanche. So this Avalanche is another blockchain. It had a great run last time around of 140. And you do have to be careful. This list is not going to be overloaded with last cycle coins, because historically, last cycle's coins, or coins from previous cycles, don't actually get above their previous all-time high. And there's some exceptions like Dogecoin, Ethereum, Bitcoin, all managed to do that. But there also wasn't, in the last cycle, there wasn't as many coins, but there were just many that really did not get there. I mean, XRP, I think, got to $1.80, and its previous cycle all-time high was like $3.60. So, and there were others as well. I think EOS and Litecoin and a few others. They just didn't make it. So you do have to be careful with this, and this is why it's good to get strong entries. So, will Avalanche get to its previous cycle all-time high past 140? Yeah, I actually do. I do think that it has emerged as one of the layer 1 blockchain leaders. I think if you were to talk, you'd think Solana, Ethereum, and Avalanche as your top 3. I think probably BNB, the Binance chain, obviously would have a big voice in that. I haven't gone with the Binance chain just because of all the regulatory, the founders going to prison, and there's just a lot of noise and a lot of cloud around that chain. So I'm probably going to stay away from that. And that's just my personal trading. That's how I'm going. And so for Avalanche, I got entry there at 28 to 35. That's a pretty big range. and 20 to 22, and then aggressive entry is kind of, close to kind of where it is right now, 37 to 38. You kind of get in right now. Again, if I didn't have any Avalanche, would I jump in at 37 to 38? Yeah, I might spend a fifth to a quarter of my budget at that level, and then grab another entry, and then stack entries everywhere between 20 and around $33 is likely what I would do. So I would probably go from and that's a fairly big range there. You just have to find where you feel is best. I don't have as specific targets as I do up here for Avalanche, because I feel like we're pretty close. If we lose $28, it's there's not a whole lot of support down to 22, so there could be a fairly significant drop. So I feel like having my last buy at 20 to 22 is good. I'd probably put a quarter in there, and then probably around the 28 to 29, I would have another buy, and then probably around the 33 to 35, I'd have a third buy, and then if I didn't have any Avalanche, I'd probably go 37, 38 with initial buy. And that's how I would split up into quarters there and put 25%, 25%, 25%, and 25%. Now, of course, if I already have Avalanche, which I do, I may not do the aggressive buy on this one. I may just split up into three and go with 20 to 22, 27, 28, and then 33, 34. And I could probably actually just adjust this a little bit here, with my entries, and let's just add an entry here, a middle entry to give three complete entries there, but somewhere around 27 to probably the $29 range, and then this one here would be 30 to 35 there, or maybe 31 to 35 and 30. It's when you're dollar cost averaging, if a coin's going to go to 250 to 280, which I believe is quite possible for this coin. I don't have a crystal ball. Again, I go on the trading strategy of this, then that. So I'm always adjusting my targets and adjusting my expectation depending on what the market does and how the market behaves there. But generally speaking, I would say that does it really matter if my entry is at 27 or 31, $4 difference, or when it's going to potentially go to $250, $280, $300. So that's kind of what I'm thinking for Avalanche. Those are my first three picks for my crypto cheat sheet. I hope you've enjoyed that. I wanted to keep this video under 20 minutes, just so it doesn't drag on too long. But those are the three. Those are what my entries are or have been, and some aggressive entries there. If I didn't have any, that's what my aggressive entries would be. So I hope you've enjoyed that, and stay tuned for the next video. I'm going to be releasing the next three coins. I'm not sure how many exactly I'm going to do. I have about 15 to 20 on my list. So I'm going to, I may get to 21. I may stop at 15 or 18. But let's just see how we go. We're going to do three each video. This is the first three. These are three from last cycle. I do believe that all three will exceed their previous cycle all-time highs. I think the one that possibly is least likely to do that is Avalanche, but I still do believe that it can push beyond $140. And when you think $140 is for about 37, that's about a 4x from now. That's around about maybe a 3.5x, 4x. But if we get to 250, I mean, that's not a bad, that's at least a 6x, I think, from around a 6x from where we are now. So again, these are safer plays. They're more blue chip, and nothing safe in crypto, of course. But for me, I feel like they're safer plays. I feel like you're less likely to go to zero, though we did see the Terra Luna collapse, and that was a top blue chip coin that absolutely, but these don't have the tokenomics like that. And just on tokenomics, I will say all of these, most of the tokens on all three of these have been released. Why is that important? Is because if you have a lot of tokens that are locked up, then they can be unlocked and sold by the founders or the team or the venture capitalists venture capital who invested in it, and that can really dump down on the price. So we will be looking, it's called the fully diluted valuation, the FDV. We will be looking at FDV on some of these coins as we go through them, but the FDV on these coins is pretty good. I think Ethereum has all their coins unlocked, and Avax and Solana have most of their coins unlocked. There still are some that haven't been unlocked, but the FDV is very high. It's almost at 100%. So anyway, hope you have a great day. Enjoy your trading. Hope you found this video educational and entertaining, because that's what it is. It is not financial advice. And we'll see you with the part 2 of my crypto cheat sheet in the very next video. Have a great day.